The Link Show is just about to start. If you want to be a part of The Link Show, head over to linkkids.com.au/live.
Today on The Link Show, we're finishing our series on Bible heroes.
That's right, and today we are finally working out, for once and for all, who is a superhero and who's a sidekick.
I'm a superhero. You know what actually matters? Linking with kids all around the world.
That's right, we've got that coming up and so much more. But right now,
let's get linked!
If you look at Big.
Welcome back to The Link Show. Last week, I was robbed of that win. I mean, I didn't mean to scoop it, but I mean, let's go, come on.
It's okay, Miguel.
I should have won.
The past is the past. And you know what's really cool? Today, we're learning about how we can be heroes by helping others. So if you need help today, I'm here for you, buddy.
No, I don't need help. I feel like you need help today.
I really don't.
I have a strong feeling that I'm gonna win.
Hey, Buckle here, and I get to read this week's shoutouts. We have Haley and Cassidy both saying, "Hi, I hope Miguel figures out that Cece is really the superhero." Well, we're going to find out today, because Tony's got a shout out saying, "Please, please, please, can you let Cece win?" Hey, we don't rig it. It's actually up to how good they play, but we'll find out in just a minute who's going to win today's. And lastly, Zara says, "Guys, we love the creativity on the videos, and the games are so much fun to watch. Thank you very much. But hey, I'm going to get ready to throw to myself for this week's preach." Okay, let me tell you a story about a time when I had to make a choice between staying comfortable and safe or putting myself out there, taking a bit of a risk, but helping other people to live the life they were meant to live. It was a tough choice. And so it's actually something you probably have to deal with at school too. I was young, I was in school, and there was one kid in our class that everybody else would make fun of. They would tease him, they would be mean to him, they would like knock his lunch out of his hands. They were quite mean to this kid, but I didn't feel like that was right, and I wanted to make sure this person had a friend. And so I had to make a choice. Am I going to put myself out there and be nice to this person and invite them to hang out with me at lunch, knowing that if I did that, there was a very good chance that the other kids were going to start making fun of me the same way that they were making fun of him. And it was a tough choice because I was potentially giving up my own friend group, my own little safe bubble that I had at school to try and do the right thing to help this other kid. And so I sat at home, on my bed, thinking about it. I talked to my mum and dad and told them all about it. I said, what am I meant to do in this moment? This is a really tough decision. And so my dad said, he said, "Buckle, what do you think is the right thing to do? And then once you decide what the right thing to do is, you need to make a choice. Do you want to be the sort of person that does the safe thing, or do you want to be the sort of person that does the right thing?" When you look back on this moment, when you're older, how do you want to tell this story? Do you want to be telling people that you didn't go and help this kid and so you stayed safe even though it wasn't the right thing to do? Or do you want to be able to tell people in the future when you're telling this story that you took a risk and you did the right thing? And I'll tell you, it took me a week before I actually made the decision. I would go to school in my head thinking, I'm going to be nice to the kid today. And then someone would be mean to him and I would be like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm too scared. I don't want anyone to be mean to me. But after a week, I finally took up the courage and I went to this kid and said, "Hey, I'm so sorry people are being mean to you. Do you want to come and hang out with me?" And I remember the look on his face. He was surprised. He was like, wait, someone is being kind to me. And so he came and sat with me at lunch and we'd go out and kick the ball together and hang out. And then slowly but surely, even though some of the other kids still were mean to him and to me, most of the other kids started coming and hanging out with us and kicking the ball with us and eating with us. And I realized there was actually a heap of other kids that were thinking the same thing as me, that they didn't want to be mean to this kid. They wanted to be kind, but they didn't have the courage and the bravery to be the first one to do it. But once I took that step, once I stood forward and said, I'm going to stand in the gap, I'm going to be nice to this person and invite them into my world, all of a sudden, all of these other kids that wanted to do the right thing, but maybe were a bit scared, had the courage to join me, and we created a whole new friend group and we all got to hang out, and it was amazing. You see, sometimes we face these moments in our life where we have to make this choice between what's easy and safe and what's right. And I wonder for you, maybe you've had a similar situation where at school or wherever you're hanging out at sport or at dance, that someone is being mean to someone else and you have to choose. Will you be kind to that person and do the right thing, or are you going to hide back and just be safe? And so a little later on, we're actually going to take a look at a story in the Bible of a guy named Nehemiah. He had this choice. Am I going to put my life on the line? For him, speaking up about this thing that was the right thing to do, it could have cost him his life. That's how risky it was. But he made the decision he wasn't going to stay safe. He was going to choose what the right thing to do was, and we're going to see how God helped him. And we're also going to learn how we can do the right thing as well and how God wants to help us. But we'll talk about that in just a minute.
All right, number 4.
All right, number 4. Let's see what's in store for us.
Okay, let's go.
Producer, what do we have? What's our challenge?
Oreos. All right, what are we doing?
Your challenge is the first person to get an Oreo in their mouth from their forehead.
Oh.
Miguel, listen to instructions.
I'll go.
So you need to balance the Oreo on your head, and then without using your hands, you need to get it from your forehead to your mouth.
Oh, this is gonna be messy. All right.
First person to do it wins.
Okay, you ready?
Mouth on your feet.
You ready?
Like,
Oh, you started.
oh Lord. Oh, well, we're gonna leave that one there.
Oh, guys.
Oh, well, leave that one on the ground as well.
Oh,
Oh, good! Yeah.
oh, God.
Right, you guys are really good at this. First person to do 3, so you gotta get 2 more.
Was that a practice
Okay,
round?
2 more. Go.
Look how I cheated on that one.
Yeah.
I did cheat on that one. Oh, you're looking at my mouth.
Miguel is on 0 points.
Terrible. I'm gonna have so much makeup on these Oreos. Can't be going. Gee! There we go. It's gonna start. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, woo!
Last one,
I
guys.
need to eat it now.
Last one. Miguel's getting close.
It's stuck in my eye.
CC's about to have it. CC wins!
I'm done. I did it first.
No, CC wins.
No, I did.
Whoa,
You didn't say you had to eat the whole thing. You just had to get the Oreo to your mouth.
I'm not gonna lie, I chowed down like at least 7 Oreos.
All right, sit down,
I'm feeling
sidekick.
sick.
Oh,
Oh, do you want an Oreo?
I do want an Oreo. Have you been enjoying our hero challenge with the different activities and games?
Yeah, they're great, but
Can I
don't.
show you something really tricky really quickly?
Yeah.
So, this, you may have to pull focus, Mr. Cameraman, for a second. I'm going to show you the easiest way to get this in your mouth the first go.
Oh!
You guys go watch the Bible story. I'm going to get ready to preach. It's like, woo! This is Nehemiah, one of the heroes of the Bible. He was an Israelite, one of God's chosen people, and we can find his story in the Old Testament of the Bible. Now, Nehemiah did not live in his homeland of Israel. Instead, he lived in a country called Persia, and he served as the cupbearer to the king. And this meant that he would hear the stories from other parts of the world. One day, Nehemiah heard that Jerusalem, one of the cities in his homeland, was suffering. The walls had come down and the people were not living according to God's plan. This made Nehemiah sad. And so one day, while he was serving the king realized that Nehemiah was upset. He said, "Nehemiah, what makes you so sad?" And so Nehemiah worked up the courage to tell the king about what had happened at Jerusalem. He also asked the king if he could go back to help This was a dangerous question because the king could have had Nehemiah killed for asking such a request. But God gave Nehemiah favor and the king agreed to let him go. And so Nehemiah traveled back to Jerusalem. He gathered the people together and put them into groups to work on rebuilding the city walls. Brick by brick, day after day, slowly the work was being done. But soon, some of the enemies of the Israelites heard what was happening, and so they gathered together to try to stop Nehemiah. First, they tried to scare him. They tried to trick him to come out of the city. But no matter what they did, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't stop Nehemiah from doing what he knew was right. And eventually, the walls were complete. Once the walls were complete, the Israelites celebrated and praised God, and they realized that the way that they had been living was not the way that God wanted. And so they turned their lives around and started following God again. All of this change happened because one man, Nehemiah, was willing to stand up and do what he knew was right.
The thing I love about this story is Nehemiah, he's in a totally different country. Yes, he's an Israelite, he's one of God's people, but all through the Old Testament, through different bad decisions that the people had made and other moments in history, there were a lot of Israelites living in other places around the world, not just in Israel. And so this guy is serving as the cupbearer to the king. He's in a different country serving a different king. And he hears this story that the walls of Jerusalem, the holy city, the place that is the center of everything that they believed as Israelites, was in ruins. And the people there weren't even following God anymore. And his heart broke. He knew this isn't okay. I need to make this right. And so he went to the king, and the king could have taken his life. The king could have said, "How dare you ask for something for you? I am the king. You are here to do what I say." He could have been killed. But God had favor on him. God helped him to do the right thing, and he went back and he made all the difference. He led the Israelites in rebuilding the city and living their lives the way God had intended. Because Nehemiah was willing to take the risk to say, "I'm not going to stay safe. I'm going to do what's right." And what about you? You see, the Bible actually says in the book of Galatians 6 verse 9, it says, "Don't grow tired or weary in doing good, because in due time, in due season, when the time is right, you will reap a reward, as long as you don't give up." You see, all through the Bible, there is story after story of people choosing to do the right thing instead of the safe thing, putting their trust in God. And not only does it turn out amazing, but in fact, God takes moments in time that should have been meant for bad and for evil, and he turns them into something beautiful. And it's these people who are willing to put their life on the line to stand up and say, "I'm going to do what's right." And for you and I, we have this choice every single day. It could be something as simple as sharing a lunch break with someone else. It could be standing up for someone that's being picked on or being bullied. We all have moments in our life where we have to make a choice. And sometimes those choices happen instantly. It's not something you can plan for. It just happens, and in a heartbeat, you have to make a choice. And so it's the sort of thing we need to think about right now. Who do you want to be? What sort of life are you going to live? The reason I love that verse in Galatians, it says, "Don't get tired when you're doing good." In other words, it's a life that we choose to live day after day, moment after moment. No matter who you're with or where you are, there's always a moment where you have to choose. Will you do what's easy and safe, or will you do what's right? I know for me, every time I've taken that step, it's all worked out okay. Yes, there's been pain. Yes, there's been hardship. And yes, there have been times when I've stepped out from being safe and done what's right, and it's hurt me. Things have not been easy. Life has been tough in those moments. But what I can tell you is every time I get through that moment and I look back, I'm always thankful that I did what was right, not what was safe. Because God has always shown up for me, and I know he'll always show up for you. So why not today take a few minutes to think about, is there anything happening in my life today that I need to be choosing to do what's right, even if it's going to be hard, even if it's going to be uncomfortable? Because I can promise you this, no matter how difficult it gets, no matter how much it hurts, when you get through that moment and you look back, you'll be proud that you stood up and you did what was right. So you got to choose. Who are you going to be? You're going to be the sort of person that stays safe and easy, or are you going to be the sort of person that does what's right?
Welcome back. I love how we had so much fun in this series and that we actually learned that being a hero is not about winning or losing.
That's right, it's about putting God first and helping others.
That's right, and being a hero is as simple as following God's plans.
So good. And you guys can go and be a hero right now by doing the quiz whenever you want. But go do it now.
But we had so much fun and we hope you had fun as well. Have fun on your school holidays. Have a great school holidays. But I'm Miguel.
I'm Cece.
And we'll see you next time on
The Link Show.
See you then, everyone.
Bye.